Saturday, November the 15th, word for you today, our devotional, set boundaries that matter. Set boundaries that matter. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4 says, Fathers, do not exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord. Boundaries. What are boundaries? Boundaries are parameters that we set that people need to stay within the confines of the boundaries. Notice what this says. Do not exasperate your children. He gives two commands here. One's negative, one's positive. This is the negative one. Fathers, do not exasperate your children. He's had some instructions for children. Now he goes to parents, specifically the father. What does it mean to exasperate your children? It means to make them frustrated. Well, how do we do that? We have a lot of examples, don't we? Sometimes they're unfair expectations. Asking our kids, requiring our kids to do things they're not capable of. For instance, grades. I'm so grateful that my parents didn't say you have to be a straight A student. Oh, that would have been a lesson in futility for them and me. Not putting unfair expectations on our kids. Another one is snide or sarcastic comments or remarks. You will never do anything. You are so uncoordinated. That doesn't help. That doesn't give life. That doesn't build up. Okay, the child may be uncoordinated. Okay, sometimes it's due to their age, and they're going to be coordinated later, but right now they're not. Don't knock them down because of that. Talking down to them, oh, you wouldn't understand. Well, then explain it in a way that they can. Overprotecting them or not giving them enough room to be who God's created them to be. Dads, we can make it really tough for our kids. Give them the opportunity to succeed. Put them in a position where they can succeed. And sometimes we put them in a position where they're going to fail. They can't help but fail. Set boundaries that matter. Set boundaries that they can reach. Challenging, yes, but boundaries that they can reach. It doesn't do any good to tell a 4-foot child, okay, I want you to jump up and touch the rim on the basketball goal. They can't do it. It's impossible. Well, it's frustrating for them. So the negative thing is, fathers, do not exasperate your children. But then he gives a positive command. He said, instead, bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord. Don't let them just roam. Some people say, you know what, I'm just not going to force my kids into believing what I believe. They can make their own choice. Well, that's really kind of dumb. Do you let them decide whether they go to the dentist? Do you let them decide whether they brush their teeth, whether they go to the doctor? No. You're a parent. When you see them sick or they need care, you take them. I don't know a kid alive that wants to go to the dentist or the doctor. But you take them. Why? Because you know what's best for them. Well, it's the same way spiritually. Teach them what is best for them. Well, they're really not interested in the Bible. Okay. Help them to be interested in it. Don't let them just roam. Parents have responsibilities to set boundaries for children. Bring them up intentionally. Intentionally set their course. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I don't want to do that, says the child. Okay, fine, you don't want to do it, but this is what we're going to do. Be a parent. Don't be a buddy to your kids. Be a parent. You say, what do you mean? Well, manners. Say please. Say thank you. We have a 3-year-old granddaughter right now that when somebody gives her something, we say, okay, tell them thank you. Sometimes she just looks at you and turns away. No, come back here. You need it. It's a whole lot easier just to let it go. It's a whole lot easier right then, but I want to tell you what, later on it gets tough. No, come back here. You're going to say thank you or you're going to give that back. Oh, she does not want to give it back. She also does not want to say thank you. But eventually, she does. Intentionally teach them and teach them. Training has to do with molding something or someone, molding them in what they should be. Instructions, teaching, verbally teaching. instruction of the Lord, training instruction of the ways of God. God knows, He created us, He knows how we operate best. So how do we set boundaries in the Lord? It's said to bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord. Well, set children up for success. Help them to see that following your instructions is best for them and it's going to help them. Help them to see that okay, I said this, we're going to do this. And they say, well, I don't know how that's going to help. Well, show them. And then use some scripture. Here's what God says. God gives me a responsibility to train you up and teach you. And that's what I'm doing. And it's going to help you. And then explain the why. Help them to see why that boundary is there. You're holding their hand, young child's hand, as they're starting to walk across the street. Explain to them, the cars going by, they can hurt them. Sometimes children need to know the why. Sometimes we say, just do what I say. Well, there's a time for that, yes. But also let them know why. Why? And then show how Jesus obeyed his Father. And Jesus had boundaries. Jesus had boundaries? Wait a minute. That didn't sound right. He did. Remember what he did every morning? Jesus went away to a quiet place and spent time with God. Boundaries where he said, okay, I don't need anybody around me right now. I need to be with the Father. And then there were times when the crowds were around people, and he had taught, he had healed, but then he went away. He got his disciples and they went away. And just because the people were there, he didn't do everything they wanted. He picked a time and he says, okay, now we need to go rest. Now there's a boundary. We need time. And, there were times some of the religious leaders said, show us a miracle. There's a boundary. He said, no, you're not going to force miracles out of me. There were boundaries. Tom Landry, former Hall of Fame coach of the Dallas Cowboys, great Christian, had this to say about football players. He said, most successful football players not only accept rules and limitations, but I believe they need them. Players are free to perform at their best only when they know what the expectations are and where the limits stand. I see this as a biblical principle that also applies to life, a principle our society as a whole has forgotten. You can't enjoy true freedom without limits. You hear that? You can't enjoy true freedom without limits. You can't enjoy true freedom without responsibility. Set boundaries that matter. Sometimes we need to say no. Sometimes we do. It's a boundary that, you're just absolutely worn out and you need to know. Sometimes in church we're the worst at trying to get people to do everything. No. Sometimes people need to say, you know what? I need to take off from teaching. I need to take off from this or that, some responsibility. They maybe need a rest. They need a break. Okay, that's fine. Set boundaries that matter. Set boundaries that help you to be who God has created you to be. Hope you have a good weekend. I hope to see you in church on Sunday.